Okay, so let's get right into it. There's this incredibly powerful new AI tool called OpenClaw, and it has absolutely gone viral. It promises to automate our entire digital lives. But that convenience? Well, it comes with a security price tag that's a whole lot higher than anyone expected.
I mean, just picture this. An AI assistant that doesn't just answer your questions, but actually does things for you. It can trigger workflows, operate your devices, and interact with online services on your behalf, all from a simple command. That's the incredible promise of agentic AI like OpenClaw. But here's the big question, right? What happens when the very tool you've handed the keys of your digital kingdom over to has, well, a dark side? When all that power can be turned against you. That's the core problem we're going to unpack today.
So first up, let's get a handle on what we're actually talking about here. What is OpenClaw, and why is it making such a huge splash?
Think of an agent AI like, I don't know, an automation engine on steroids. It's not just running a pre-programmed script. You give it instructions in plain English, and it figures out how to handle really complex tasks all on its own. It connects to your apps and devices using these little add-ons called skills. And honestly, this incredible utility is exactly why its popularity has just exploded.
Yeah, one security firm called OpenClaw an AI with hands. And that just nails it, right? It perfectly captures the core problem here. When you give an AI the ability to actually act in the world, you're opening up a brand new and massive playground for attackers.
And this slide really gets to the heart of the difference. Traditional software, it's predictable. It does exactly what the code tells it to do, period. But AI agents, they're playing a whole different ballgame. They have to interpret your words, and it's right there, in that little gap of interpretation, that all the danger starts to creep in.
I mean, even the folks who made OpenClaw admit this. They say these agents blur the boundary between user intent and machine execution. And what that really means is that they can be manipulated, not just with buggy code, but with words themselves. That's a completely new kind of vulnerability we haven't really had to deal with before.
And that leads us to this frankly terrifying idea of the agentic Trojan horse. It's pretty simple, really. You have this AI with deep access to all your files, all your accounts, and then you tell it to go read some random website or open a document. All of a sudden, your super helpful assistant could be secretly funneling your data right out the back door. So, this brings us to what the security world is starting to call the lethal trifecta. Basically, a perfect storm of core vulnerabilities that make this technology so incredibly risky right now.
First off, just the sheer scale of the exposure is mind-boggling. I mean, as of early February 2026, researchers found over 30,000 OpenClaw instances just sitting out there, exposed to the public internet, completely open, just waiting for someone to wander in.
And second, the ecosystem itself is already full of traps. A security scan of ClawHub, that's the official marketplace for these AI skills, found hundreds of them were straight up malicious, like explicitly designed to steal your stuff or install malware.
And we're not talking about a few bad apples here. When researchers scanned almost 4,000 skills, they found that over 7% of them had critical security flaws. I mean, 7%? That is a huge number for a platform that people are trusting with their most sensitive information.
And when you really start digging in, the list of problems just keeps on going. You've got prompt injection. That's where attackers hide malicious commands inside what looks like a totally normal document. Then there is credential exposure, where secret API keys and passwords are just stored in plain text right in the logs for anyone to see. You've got shadow AI, which is basically employees installing these super powerful agents without telling IT. And maybe the worst part? The default setting gives the AI full access to everything. You actually have to go in and manually turn on the security features, like sandboxing, to limit what it can do.
Okay, so, faced with this absolute mess of a security situation, what is OpenClaw doing about it? Well, their big move is a new partnership with Google's VirusTotal. And the process they've set up is pretty straightforward. Every time a new skill gets uploaded to ClawHub, it gets checked against VirusTotal's huge database of known threats. If it's something new, it gets sent off for a really deep analysis. Malicious skills? Blocked. Suspicious ones get flagged. And everything gets rescanned every single day to catch anything that might have slipped through. But, and this is a big but, even OpenClaw's own team admits this is not a silver bullet. A really cleverly hidden command, buried deep inside some document, could probably still get through. So yeah, it helps, but the risk is definitely not gone. Think of it as another layer of security, not a guarantee.
And this really brings us to the bigger picture, The issues with OpenClaw aren't just about one shaky piece of software. They represent a whole new class of risk for this entire world of agentic AI.
There's a security researcher, Ian Al, who just puts it perfectly. He says, when you install a malicious browser extension, you're compromising one system, your computer. But when you install a malicious agent skill, you are potentially compromising every single system that agent has the credentials for. The blast radius is it's exponentially bigger.
So here's the bottom line, right? We are literally handing these agents the keys to our entire digital lives. They often run with full permissions right out of the box, which means one simple misconfiguration, one little mistake can open the door to a disaster. These frameworks are built to amplify our productivity for sure, but they also amplify the potential for catastrophic damage when things go wrong.
And all of this leads to what is probably one of the most important questions for our digital future. As these incredibly powerful, autonomous AI agents get smarter and weave themselves deeper into our lives, how do we make sure they stay safe? How do we build the guardrails to keep them helpful and stop them from becoming the very Trojan horses we've been warned about? That right there is the challenge ahead.